What's up everyone, John from ARTV. It's time for my final year-end countdown right here on the main channel. It's my top 10 worst albums of 2017. Now keep in mind, like I've said in past years, that worst to me does mean awful a lot of the times, but also very disappointing. You know, when something is just so disappointing that it makes it bad, maybe it's not the worst thing in the world or in existence. I'll explain as I go along, but I think you catch my drift. These are obviously just my picks, and if you like any of the albums here, well, it's personal preference. We're all different, but what can I say? I did not care for at all any of the albums that we're going to talk about today. Whether it be just generic, widespread pandering, or just a mess, or a long run time of just nothingness, it's a lot to take in. It was a lot of listening that I had to do for this, and it was a lot of suffering, but I made it through. I'm bringing you the list today. Make sure to drop a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new here. Here we go with the dishonorable mentions.
Daddy told you hold your chin up, son, and I never thought after all these years I would be the one that make you disappear. Break me for so fucking done with you, girl.
Those were all albums that I did feel were very weak from these artists or bands, and I feel like a lot of them are capable of more. Some of them I just thought were really bad projects, but without further ado, we'll get into the final list, the actual top 10. Here we go, the very first one, All Time Low.
Dirty laundry is piling in her room. She's got her secrets, yeah, I got mine too. I don't care about what you did, only care about what we do. Dirty laundry looks good on you.
It really kind of pains me to say this, but coming in at number 10, it's All Time Low, one of my favorite bands with Last Young Renegade. It was a very disappointing first half of the year, especially with a lot of bands that I like just churning out very mediocre and bland projects, and this album is not, like I said, the worst thing in the world. There's some very good tracks on here, like Life of the Party, but more often than not, they just kind of fall into this overproduced, weird pop rock thing that doesn't sound anything like them, really just more of like an identity crisis. There's plenty of traces of All Time Low, but we don't get full throttle All Time Low. Just look at the lead-off single Dirty Laundry, which does take off in its final act, but that's the problem. So many of these tracks just have pieces that work. They don't all come together. You have to have the full puzzle in order to walk away and say, I'm done, but it just feels like they walked away from the puzzle while they had about, I don't know, 10 pieces missing. It's an album that does have some sort of idea of what it wanted to be, but does it ever flesh that out? No. All Time Low are a very talented band. I do hope they get back on track with their next release. Fans and critics and just commercial reception in general was pretty mixed to poor on this record, especially on the commercial side of things. And as much as they marketed this and really pushed it with their new label Fueled by Ramen, this was an utter flop, and I understand why completely. Number 9, Evolve by Imagine Dragons. This is just an awkward album. An awkward album because it, once again, kind of feels like a band not knowing what they want to do. Some of these clunky tracks like Dancing in the Dark are just aggressively awful. And then other moments like Thunder, it's just a punch to the guts of anything that you might have liked about them in the first place. Thunder is so monotonous, repetitive, it just builds on what pop music is doing these days and tries to fit in. It doesn't have any real concept. It says it does, but when I listen to it, I hear nothing but but a bunch of pitch-shifted noises and repetitive phrases. But if you're into it, that's your cup of tea, not mine, and overall, listening to this album is very, very painful, considering I thought Imagine Dragons, when they came onto the scene with stuff like Radioactive, their album Night Visions, I wasn't like the hugest fan in the world, but I thought it was just fine, and I was actually happy that some of their songs were crossing over. Even their last album, Smoke and Mirrors, had some fantastic cuts like Hopeless Opus, and I don't know, a couple of the other tracks grew on me, but this album in general, especially replaying it for this video, it's not doing itself any favors. There's one great song on there, I will say that, it's Mouth of the River. I think that one's fantastic, and Believer, while a bit overplayed and monotonous, it's okay, but you listen through the rest of this record and you just wonder, what were they trying to be? They're trying to please everybody, and as a result of that, they please no one.
They brought you new change, that bucket in the wrong key. That bucket in the wrong key. That bucket in the wrong key.
It's really hard to pinpoint what I don't like about my number 8 choice, AFI's The Blood album. It came out in January of 2017. It had a couple of singles that I thought were fantastic, so I was hyped for the project. I thought Snowcats was catchy as hell, and then White Offerings just really struck up some earlier AFI vibes, very aggressive, punky, almost a bit theatric, and I was totally on board with what Davey Havok and company were cooking up, but when I actually played the rest of the record, it just felt completely lackluster. It just fell flat on its face, and these tracks seemed like they were trying to play off of the energy of what they once had, but moving nowhere, stalling out, constantly running into brick walls. The instrumentals, the vocals, everything just felt forced. Not because necessarily, like I alluded to, like maybe they just wanted to put out an album for the money. Probably wrong of me to say that. You know, maybe they actually wanted to put out an album, but it doesn't feel like it. Normally, you put out an album when there's a spark, you have that creativity, and I feel like they had that creativity and spark for a couple of the singles, and then other than that, for the most part, things just went by the wayside. A throwaway record, and one that I know that they're capable of much more.
Got me feeling like a gypsy. Smoking on a hookah, got me feeling like a hippie. Trip it. Gone for a minute, if you miss me now. Fergie back with a bag full of tricksies. Why? Lying some movie. Let the camera roll.
It's not usually a good thing when an album gets stalled for years on end, whether the artist and her producers are running into a wall, or they're just, I don't know, getting a delay from the label because they're like, this doesn't sound right, something is off here. Double Duchess has been announced for years at this point. LA Love is actually somehow on this album, and it's mind-blowing how a song like that made it on the record, especially considering what it is, how outdated it sounds, and it's beat by DJ Mustard. It's just shouting like, hey, you know, this city, you know, la 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 la. It's just nonsense, and I get so much of that on this record. Obviously, MILF Money, there's another one right there for you that if you heard that one, I'm sorry, but you know exactly where the album was headed. It opens up on a track with Rick Ross called Hungry, which uses an egregiously awful sample, and it's just going all throughout, and it's unbearable. And then we have to suffer through Like It Ain't Nothin' that tries so hard to be playful, and it just comes across so mind-numbingly, achingly bad that you want to skip through it like after 30 seconds. This album has a few tracks that try to be more down to earth, a little bit sweeter, like something like Big Girls Don't Cry off of her first album, The Duchess. Tracks like that, they're okay, they're fine, and some of them are actually really, really good, like the closing track, Love Is Pain. That one is a beautiful one that shows off her talents as a vocalist, as an artist. I know it's under there, but she's really trying hard to bury those talents, it seems like, on this record.
We could be legends after all. Hey, whoa, whoa. We could be legends after all. Hey, whoa, whoa. We could be legends after all.
At number 6, we have Sleeping with Sirens with their most recent album, Gossip. There's not a ton I can say about this one because Sleeping with Sirens have just consistently gone downhill since their first album, and it's really a shame to see because I like Kellen Quinn's voice, but here on this record, he just clearly uses it for nothing but maybe commercial gain. You got Legends being used at the Winter Olympics. You've got a lot of other tracks that try to be anthems except fail epically. It's just one of those albums and you listen through it and you can see a little bit of passion in the instrumentals, but the majority of them are so condensed and so flat that you can't do anything with it. You can listen through it, it might seem okay, but just give it a couple of weeks and see if you actually want to come back to it. I highly doubt it.
Ask me how I'm doing today, bet I'll say I'm okay, but I'm riding away inside. Don't worry about it though, both of us are, you know, funny, that's how it goes.
Number 5, Jesse Rutherford and his solo album And. He's known for being in the band The Neighbourhood, and while I haven't enjoyed everything they've done, they actually seemingly bounced back a bit this year and gave me some more hope for their future material, especially with the Hard EP. But here on this album, And, things just get downright gimmicky, silly, and of course, bad. And really tries to offer up everything from trap to bubblegum pop, it seems like on some of these moments, and he never really knows where he's going. In fact, so much of this just feels like it's being done for show, or things being said just because they sound good. It doesn't feel like it has a heart or a real connectivity, and you listen through them and it just seems so forced, hipstery, try hard. I don't really know what to do with this project. Unfortunately, these days with Maroon 5, I can pretty much tell when they announce an album, it's probably gonna end up on my year-end worst list. And what do you know? Red Pill Blues. Now, despite the song that played in the transition there, I actually like that one, What Lovers Do with SZA. That one's probably the best song. That's the high point of the album. And that's not an amazing track by any means, but that's the high point for sure. Then you get taken on this roller coaster that just goes on a straight nosedive for the most part, and you think, oh, there's gotta be a loop at some point, but the loop never comes. You just keep pummeling down into the core of the earth, and you rethink everything about your life, and then you're listening to a Maroon 5 jam session on the final song, and you're thinking, this is it. This is really it. My life, it's going nowhere, just like this song, just like this music, and you rethink everything. My fellow critic Spectrum Pulse would argue that this should be higher, but at number 3 we have The Click by Hey JR. It's definitely so off-putting that you can't really do too much with it, but it tries to have this charm, so you're not exactly sure what to say about it, but these tracks feel so out of touch with reality, so out of touch with just people in general. They feel like robots delivering these lines, and like they're, hey, we're humans too, oh, we can blend in, you know, I love The Office, let's make a whole song about Netflix, or, oh yeah, buddy old Bud, let's make a song, Bud Like You, that feels like it's maybe about weed, or maybe it's about friends, who knows, stay tuned to AJR, you'll find out. So many weak electronic drops. The voices feel so cleanly processed. It's like no human error whatsoever. I don't know what to do with The Click. It's overly long. It's overly saturated with a variety of different things, and their talent that maybe perhaps is there is completely washed down the drain by the song choices here. And I'm ashamed at Rivers Cuomo. Why? Why did you get involved in the track Sober Up? Why? That was so unneeded, unnecessary, and it didn't bring anything to the track. Overall, this album is a train wreck travesty. Throw it down the drain.
She wants to break up every night. She wants to break up every night. Don't wanna wait till she finally decides to feel it. She wants to break up every night. Then tries to fuck me back to life.
Number 2, The Chainsmokers, Memories Do Not Open. You give it an album title like that, you can pretty much just seal your own fate right there. You wrote your own destiny. Do not open. Do not play. That maybe would have been a bit more appropriate, maybe a little warning for people on there. But as you listen through this album, it just feels like a bunch of, oh boy, being a millennial is tough work. Oh man, we really get some crazy nights going. We really get that brewing. And soft electronic drop. Let's press the play button there and just copy and paste that and use it for the next one. Oh, you want to invite Emily Warren on again and have her sing on another track? It wasn't enough to have her on The One or My Type or whatever it is. It's just so many songs that are coming from the same place. I actually genuinely like something just like this. It's a fine track. I have no problem with Paris either. But besides those tunes, honestly, there's not much to enjoy here. If you like mindless EDM, pop, light, it's like chugging a bunch of Bud Lights, except somebody extracted even more of the actual alcohol content out of there, and you're just basically sipping on piss water. That's what the Memories Do Not Open album is to me. It's piss water.
Pickable, 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 pickable.
Number 1, Louie Gotti, Teenage Emotions. You guys realize I actually had to listen to this album a couple more times just so I could verify its spot on the list. It's over an hour of Louie Gotti, more than 15 songs, just him going on and on with really not that many features. I mean, there's features here, but honestly, I found myself wishing for more, wishing for somebody to come through and say something interesting, but it doesn't happen. Maybe a song or two might have a catchy instrumental, but other than that, this album is straight ass. It's something that you put on and you think to yourself, why? Why, God? Why are these trap rappers making such long projects when they have nothing to say? There is nothing interesting about this project or what Louie Gotti has to offer. He turns around projects very quickly, as do many rappers these days, just churning out content for the sake of churning out content, putting out some music just to hold people over maybe. This is an actual album, not even a mixtape, and I can find really no positive things to say about it. It's one of those albums where it could be used to torture me personally. And I find myself, as I listen through it, I'm like, how can I get out of this? How can I just put this off a little bit longer? And you turn it on and you want to start ramming your head into the wall. There's a teenage emotion for you, some angst. There you have it, my top 10 worst albums of 2017. Of course, this was all just my opinion. Let me know what you think of my choices in the comments section down below. I do hope you guys have a great holiday Christmas season. Enjoy it. Spend some time with friends and family. The content will be a little bit of a hiatus until right after Christmas, but I might have a couple of videos up my sleeve before then. We'll see. Be sure to drop a like on this video if you did enjoy it and you enjoy what I do here on this channel. Subscribe if you are new. I make all kinds of music related content, not only here, but on my second channel beyond ARTV as well. And other than that, let's cut to the outro. If you're able to support me on Patreon, it's this annotation over in the corner right there. If you would like to see another year-end list, in fact, all of my year-end countdowns, you can click this convenient playlist right over here. If you would like to see another recent video I did on the channel, tap right here, or you can check me out on my social medias linked in the description down below. I'll see you very soon right here on ARTV.